Everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these topics, subjects, looking for investment opportunities and sharing those opportunities with everyone in the community that we have. We do have a Discord channel as well where we can discuss certain things amongst all the members. And we also have midweek updates and question and answer sessions where you can directly ask me questions during the weekend. We do have a coupon code that is active. Black Friday is the coupon code that can get you larger savings if you like to join. All right, let's dive in. Let's take a look, see what's going on today. Starting with the dollar, we've got a slight pullback the past 3 trading sessions in the dollar. Not a super convincing pullback, in my opinion. It looks to me that this is more of a consolidation pullback before it tries to move higher. It's not some large reversal here at resistance. The resistance is the big blue resistance line going across that was created in this section there in terms of where we turned or have turned higher, turned lower, turned lower, turned lower. So that creates support resistance. And that's exactly where we're at. And we're just getting a little bit of a pullback off that resistance. It makes me think the way that it's angled and the lack of strong selling pressure makes me think that this is going to try to break to the upside and have a run upwards. If that's the case, we generally see yields that are either holding steady or are strong, backing that dollar move. It also could be a form of lack of liquidity in the system that can push the dollar higher. The 2-year yield, we are right at this support area that I drew in there. It fell down, but it came right back up in terms of yields. So if we're going to punch through this, generally what I see is a big, down candlestick that punches through and ends with some sort of statement. Well, we came down, but it just came flying right back up, which means that yields want to go back up. They don't necessarily want to dive lower yet. The 10 years down 0.6%, but again, we've got these big wicks at the bottom. It means that yields are still finding support underneath it. That still means that we have a chance to go higher with yields. The 30-year doing the same thing. We've got nice, good wick at the bottom there saying that yields don't necessarily want to just drop like a rock. There's support underneath it. Plus, there's a lot of support underneath the 30-year going across here in both directions. PYX-TNX ratio, we are basically moving sideways. Just a small down candlestick there. We're at a very low level. And generally, when this uninverts, that's when precious metals go crazy. But right now, we've stayed inverted for this entire time. And I do think that precious metals are anticipating this potentially unwinding. But it hasn't happened or occurred yet. Bond prices are up slightly, 0.53%, and that's where we got the yields down just a little bit today. And right now, this is just a huge mess down here, going back and forth between the buyers and the sellers, and we have resistance all sorts of above us. So this does look like it wants to fall because it's broken through all of the support regions that we had here. And now it's just kind of hanging on. The 2 and 10, this is really confusing, I think, for a lot of people. A lot of people think that we are going to get this big recession and that the yield curve uninverting is a signal, which it is. But the problem is the curve's reinverting. it's It's reinverting. What a difficult call here. Now, you could look at this, and I could take that downtrend away. You could look at this and say, okay, we came on down here, and then we've got an upward facing pattern that sold off here, basically. So we sold off from that. And now we've got another consolidation, which means that we entered it from the top side down. So we entered it from here lower, and that generally is a continuation pattern lower. I think that probably is the case, but we'll have to wait and see what the breakout looks like and continue lower if that's what we're going to do. When these generally break, depending on how fast it falls, if you get an event that looks like this, that is your problem in the market. This is your COVID event. Last time back here, when it started to dive, you get these issues in the system. That was your 2007 dive bomb and then the eventual 2008 movement. So what this is telling us is when this dives down, this was February of 2020 here. When it starts to dive bomb, that is generally a signal that we have a problem in the market. Because people are running and seeking safety, and they do it, and the 2-year falls faster than the 10-year. Gold up $21 an ounce today. Pretty big move, not too bad. We've got good downside pressure here, so we'll see what the follow through looks like here. Because sometimes they can put in, patterns that come on up and then end up heading lower again. We'll have to see what the follow through looks like. Silver doesn't look too bad at all. We've got a falling wedge here that we've broken out. Nice big bullish engulfing. Small up day today. Sometimes you get a small down candlestick. We call it a bloody nose. But that still looks good to go higher. And we are sitting on top of support. This support going across here. And we've got major support coming all over here in this region there. Platinum up about $6 an ounce. And again, we'll see what follow through looks like. And we are coming to the corner here. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. This is going to frickin' blow. It's going to blow, baby. It is squeezing up, guys. It's all torqued to all get out. That's generally what provides a big move. And it's the buyers equaling the sellers. I call this the dead period that we're entering and in. And we just are waiting for a break. And then palladium's up 3%. Pretty big move on palladium today. And this was bouncing off support. And we'll see what it looks like. Hopefully the momentum continues. GDX up 2.32%, GDXJ up 1.8%, and SILJ up 1%. The momentum is still down. I don't see a reversal candlestick on any of these. We're bouncing off support for GDXJ. That looks okay. And GDX, it's kind of out in the middle of no man's land here. We had a pretty strong fall, and we're seeing a little bit of a bounce here. There is the likelihood or a chance that we come up and do something like this. So that's what I'm looking for and waiting for. Doesn't mean I'll get it, but that's the one thing. And it's the lack of strong reversal candlestick we see. And a lot of the times when you get strong selling pressure, there's momentum that's been built behind it. And then your bounce, it almost like it needs to consolidate out before turning that momentum. Looking at XAU to gold, XAU to gold and silver mining companies outperforming gold itself. We are still at an incredibly low level here. And from this perspective, guys, gold and silver mining companies, when compared to gold, they are just flat out cheap. It's a great entry point for those looking for a long-term entry point, in my opinion. Sitting on top of support too. Crude oil up a little bit today. We're up 0.3%. We do have this big bullish engulfing here going on. That generally indicates a move higher. A lot of the times when you get a big move, you generally get a small down day. Today, we got that small quote down day. It's a bloody nose. It did end up 0.32%. Let's see if there's follow through here over the next couple of trading sessions if we get follow through. Now, a lot of people are calling for a drop in oil, a false flag event, and I don't know how you can call that necessarily, because I mean you're basically saying that an event needs to occur for the government to print more money or the Federal Reserve. And maybe that's the case. I don't know how you can foreshadow that before something can occur. You could just say that there's a high likelihood of that potentially occurring. But from what I see in the charts here, this bullish engulfing, it tells me that this is going to try to work its way on up. We should be looking for the characteristics in the candlesticks to change. Big green candlesticks and small red candlesticks from that point to the right. So we'll see if that occurs. TTF gas down about 2%. Momentum still up. No reversal candlestick. Looks okay. Natural gas in America, it's basically flat, and we're right at that breakout here. I think it looks good on the monthly. Big buying pressure candlestick, small selling pressure, big bullish engulfing behind it. The weeklies, you can see we're coming on up, trying to break through that support resistance level. And I think we'll get through it and work our way on up. It looks pretty good. XOP, yeah, you know me, down 0.64%. We are up against resistance. The good thing is, here's good things and some bad things. Well, not really bad things. The bad thing is we haven't broken through. Not a huge bad. The good thing is we've broken through this resistance here. That has been cleared. We are trying to break through the resistance that we are up against. So the bad thing is we haven't broken through that resistance yet. The good thing is I don't see any signs that there's strong selling pressure here. And that's where you get the big red candlesticks selling off when you hit it. And you get big reversal candlesticks. We are not seeing that. To me, this looks like the sellers are getting weak and the buyers are going to take over, and it's going to push beyond the resistance levels. If we push beyond resistance, we've got a really good setup. It's a shoulder, head, shoulder, and we could potentially break out and work our way on up, which is a really good setup. And that's where my thinking is at this time, but that can change in the short term as new candlesticks and data come along. So crude oil's got that big bullish engulfing. It looks good to try to work its way on up. If that works its way on up, I do think that these are well positioned to start breaking out. OIH, very similar situation, kind of like a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder developing. Something on the lines of that. We've got very small selling pressure occurring on the right-hand side. That's good. We also have, this is an upward facing, so this one here is a downward moving candlestick. Then when it goes, what you'll see is you'll get bigger green candlesticks on the right, small red candlesticks, and then you can see that we're getting downward facing patterns. So that's generally bullish to work its way on up. And that is what I think is going to occur here. So we need oil to kind of spin this whole thing off. This could be a double bottom. We're just underneath resistance, and we'll see if we can get some momentum here. But playing in the short term like this, things can change rapidly in either direction. So Newcastle coal futures down a little bit today, 0.9%. And again, I think we're going to break higher. The reason I think we are is because you get a big surge into resistance, and then you get the small selling pressure that generally works its way on up. And you can see that the selling pressure, if you just look across, you get huge red candlesticks, smaller red candlesticks, smaller red candlesticks. The candlesticks are getting pretty neutral here, pretty small, pretty small. Do you see that? How that kind of progressed? And then each movement is compressing in its highs and lows. You can see that is compressing. And that's what I mean, I don't normally draw this out every time, but that's what I see, and that's what makes me think that we could still break to the upside. The selling pressure is getting weaker and weaker. Sprott Uranium Trust, we're up about almost 3%. We're right underneath resistance, guys. This is a big, big flag pattern that we could break at any second. Do I think it's going to break? Yes, I do. What time frame? I don't know. I don't know the time frame. It just looks really good setup, and I do think we're going to break to the upside. I don't know if it's going to be soon or if it's going to take a couple weeks. Tough to say. Uranium spot price is down a little bit today, but that still looks good to go higher because we've got the big green army guy before it. URA up 2%, looking good. We are seeing some positioning in the equities. We are above support for at least for URA, and that looks pretty good. We've got Uranium also up today. We are still underneath resistance here of that guy, but it's looking better. We've got the downtrend break, retest, good buying spot, and working our way on up. Looks good. URNJ doing the same thing as URNM. We are still underneath a key resistance area or trend line up there. But we've broken the downtrend line and we are starting to work our way on up. So that's good. Hopefully the momentum can continue. We've got copper bouncing off support, the long-term support level, and it is starting to work its way on up. And again, let's hope the momentum can continue if you're a bull in copper. COPX also working its way on up, about 1.7%. Iron ore holding steady. We've got a nice little pattern here. It's still valid. Everything's good. We've got big buying pressure, small selling pressure, small selling pressure, small selling pressure. Looks good to go higher. Looks good to go higher. Aluminum 1.34. Are we actually going to try to break through here, or are we just going to do candlestick stuff where we put big wicks on candlesticks at the top here because we got this really strong resistance level. When we break through this, guys, we're going to see our aluminum investments rip it because usually when you get this much resistance and you finally break through, generally it runs. So that's looking like it's going to try to do it, but we'll see. Nickel down just a little bit today. We are still working. So the selling pressure is kind of getting a little bit less, a little bit less. We'll see. We're at this kind of support area down there. We'll see what happens. It looks like a double bottom to me in the process of it. Move down slightly. We're right at that stinking support resistance area, and we're holding on to it. I still think that this will eventually work its way on up. We could see this drop one last time if it's a bear flag right at resistance. Very well could be. Emerging markets sideways. We're right at support resistance. We did have weaker dollar, weaker yields, but not a huge amount. It was basically just barely lower. And we didn't get much movement in emerging markets either. KRE sideways, down 0.58%, but mainly sideways. Again, these are all the ones that are sensitive to interest rates and the dollar, but the dollar was flat and interest rates didn't move all that much. TAN down a little bit. This thing definitely not looking all that great. Lithium up about 2%. I think this is ready to break here at any second. Unleash the beast here. Let's get this thing rolling. To me, it looks like a good bullish formation, big move up, and then you're up against resistance. It's trying to break through that resistance. So think of it as a pennant formation or something on the lines of that. REMX up 1%. That's right at resistance. I do think it will break. It kind of runs together with lithium. So it's going to try to take another run at it. Baltic Dry Index down slightly, right at that resistance support level. We're sitting right on top of it. We've got XHB, the home builders. We didn't get a huge move in yields. They were down. The 10-year was down 0.5%. It's a little bit. So we're up just a little bit, or momentum's up. We were down 0.05%, but we're holding steady at the moment. Russell's up Nice, good bullish engulfing here at support. So that looks good to go higher. Looks good. S&P 500, another bullish engulfing, looks good to work its way on up. We are at support there. And then NASDAQ, another bullish engulfing. We're at support. And it is holding at this time. So that looks good to go higher. SMCI up 31%. Again, I'm not going to go into this or anything. I'm just watching it. Got lots of support there. And that's right where we're at. NVIDIA up about 5%. Looks like it's wanting to break out of its pattern again. It's right at resistance. We'll see if we can punch through this thing or not. Bitcoin, we are getting a little bit of candlesticks at the top here. So we are getting a little bit, some selling pressure is what I'll say. A little bit of selling pressure there. It doesn't look bearish yet, but we're getting a little bit of selling pressure. Ethereum down 3.8%. Looks a little bit, a little bit of a stronger selling pressure day to day. We are in this big pattern though, and we'll see if that breaks upward or not. And I would imagine it would if Bitcoin has broken to the upside. I mean, that's what I would think, but it hasn't at this moment. And then the VIX is up about 5%, but again, we're still below. We can kind of put this out there, resistance going across on all this here, so still below resistance. But that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you'd like. I've got a midweek update being released either tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll see when I do it. We've got yeah, we've got the coupon code. What was that? I have it Black Friday. I can't remember what it is. It's in the description link below. Yeah, it's weird. I can't remember the coupon code right off the top of my head. But that's what we've got going on. Everything looks decent, at least now from the Russell, the S&P. Oil's looking decent, like it wants to move higher. Lithium looks decent. Uranium looks decent. Everything looks pretty decent. So, yeah, that's where I'll end it. And that's what we've got. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.